Hello there. My name is Alex Merritt, and I've been a member of Langhouse since May of 2014. I've had a diagnosis of mental illness for a third of my life now, but in hindsight, I probably always lived with anxiety, depression, and OCD. Growing up, I often got caught up on tiny details, and other kids would always know how to push my buttons. When I'd let teachers know, they would tell me to suck it up and just ignore it. This, of course, didn't help, and just made me stop telling them my problems. In fourth grade, I remember telling my mom on our walk home that I'd kill myself if I couldn't transfer schools. And towards the end of eighth grade, I started to hear voices and thought I'd be consumed by shadow people. When I had these challenges, I'd talk to my parents, and when it reached a point that my family support wasn't enough, my parents acted as my advocates and managed to find us specialists who helped us get through difficult times. Throughout all my struggles, I've had the privilege of a loving family that has been there for me, but that's not the case for everyone. Fortunately, the Langhouse family is always waiting with open arms unless you're not comfortable with hugging, which they'll respect. When you want someone to talk to or need an advocate to connect you to a specialist, the Langhouse staff, volunteers, and members will be there for you. It's thanks to people like them, the attitude and education surrounding mental illness has changed drastically in a relatively short amount of time. In ninth grade, we had an overly rudimentary unit on depression to the point that I couldn't recognize the symptoms and warning selves we were learning about in myself. It was only a few weeks later that I was admitted to the mental health unit of the IWK. When writing this speech, I was asked to think about where I would be without Langhouse, and my OCD has always made questions like this difficult. What if I didn't get sick? What if I did ask that girl out? What if I wasn't born? How can I apologize if I can't talk back? And on this 10-point scale, is it only based on pain I've felt, or does it include giving birth with a broken tailbone and a man cold? What ifs are a major source of anxiety for me, and I have to actively ignore them to get through my day. Without Langhouse, I don't think I'd have the skills to do so. I wouldn't have a reason to leave my house, get out of my head, and take my mind off these unanswerable questions. I wouldn't be in school, I wouldn't have a job or friends I see regularly. Without Langhouse, I wouldn't have a passion in life beyond Star Wars, and I wouldn't know what to do with myself, be it day to day or in General Grievous. Without the wonderful people... General Kenobi. Without the wonderful people at Langhouse, I don't even know if I'd still be here. At this point, you've probably noticed the tremors in my hands, which makes reading from a page a little difficult. So to overcome this, I've used an enormous font for my notes. I'm pretty sure the people in the front row can read this from here. This is a relatively simple example, but at Langhouse, we've been able to learn skills to adapt to and live with our illnesses and symptoms through peer support, where people share their own experiences with mental health to relate to, empathize with, and ultimately assist others who are going through similar challenges. Because of this support, we're able to accomplish so much more than a lot of us could have ever imagined when we were diagnosed, when we were at our lowest. That someone with social anxiety and agoraphobia can speak in front of a crowd this size in such a large room at all, by the way, the exits are there and there, let alone find a job, go to university, or even leave the house is a testament to the benefits and successes that can be achieved with organizations like Langhouse. For a long time, I never bothered planning for the future, as I didn't expect or even want to have one. Just before I started 11th grade, I lost the use of my legs due to acute transverse myelitis, and this understandably took a toll on my mental health. Incidentally, just as physical health can negatively impact mental health, so too can it help to improve. After finishing high school and seeing my dad's recovery from his hip replacement, I decided to start attending physiotherapy again. Not only did my neurological condition improve, but I started to feel better as well. My mood had improved, I had more motivation, and my anxiety had decreased. Aside from my gallbladder crapping out, things were going relatively well. The only problem was I was about to turn 19, which meant aging out of the youth mental health care system. My then psychiatrist, the fantastic Dr. Bagnall, said it would take a few months to find a new clinician. and suggested I join Langhouse so I would have some continuity with mental wellness. Now, I initially became familiar with Langhouse when a team of members gave a talk to my class in high school about how they had benefited, and despite this, I was still unsure if this would be the right place for me. But with some coaxing, I decided to take a chance and go for a tour of the house. This ended up being one of the biggest forces of positive change in my life. Beyond peer support, Langhouse has plenty to offer. Staff have helped me sign up for university and find a job, and others have moved into their own apartments with the guidance they've received. But most importantly, for me anyways, are the daily activities and events that are offered. As you just saw, we have music therapy on Fridays, which is always the highlight of my week. We also prepare and cook different meals and have art sessions both at Langhouse and at inpatient units throughout the municipality, which, through leisure, provides an opportunity for patients to forget about their worries and challenges. Even if just for a moment, this break can really help to brighten someone's day in an otherwise dark time. At Langhouse, we also do yoga and go for walks. We hike and camp. We have writing, drama, music, nachometry, and Pathfinder groups. If anyone has a suggestion for an activity, we try to find a way to incorporate it while ensuring it's accessible and up to community standards. We have an incredibly talented film group who has made a bunch of eye-opening short films about what it's like to live with mental illness, both in terms of symptoms and stigma. We've had workshops for peer support, mentoring, and we also have the You Speak program where we tell and tailor our stories of illness, but more importantly, our stories of recovery to various audiences, be they junior high or high school, pharmacy or nursing students, healthcare workers, law enforcement, sponsor events, and so on. The peers I've met at Langhouse have become mental health advocates and role models in their communities, not despite, but because of their firsthand experience with mental illness and the healthcare system. This group, who I'm lucky to call friends, will make a difference in the attitudes toward and support for those living with mental illness. I'm confident in their abilities and excited to see how the members, volunteers, staff, alumni, and donors will change the face of mental illness in the years to come. And it's all thanks to viewers like you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty remarkable for somebody to come up and tell their story. I know that just about everybody is touched in some way by mental illness, but to hear that kind of a personal story is very special. And I know that we all want to thank Alex very much for coming up and talking to us about Langhouse. So thank you very much, Alex.